Welcome to the Sk8LikeYou podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Hey, it's Mark, Sk8LikeYou, Sk8LikeYou podcast. I am here with the one and only Nathan Edwards. Thanks for doing this, Nate.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, man. And you are in the shop right now. You're where the magic happens, I guess, right? Is that where you're at?
Yeah, this is my main shop. This is where most of the stuff happens. I have another place with some more equipment for more elaborate stuff, but yeah, for the most part, this is it.
So would you say that, because it's not just obviously skate gear that you're machining, right? I mean, you do automotive stuff. Can you just kind of give me a rundown of general things that you do?
Sure.
Besides skates?
Yeah, I mean, if a sewing machine needs a part, I'm down for that. Anything, machinery would be to me like stray dogs are to some folks. Like if there's a piece of machinery that's not working properly, I'm kind of like, oh man, that poor machine. Be nice if it worked properly, and it doesn't matter if it was a bicycle, a sewing machine, a pair of roller skates, a car. I'm just a mechanic in the very traditional sense of it, not just a car mechanic, just a mechanic. I work on machines.
And I'm sure, just because of the nature of the game, that people need things that that they can't get anywhere, right? Because you have to make it, so it's stuff that is not available anymore. So you're probably doing a lot of working on old things. Am I right? Or
especially my day job, yeah, everything's old. A lot of the skate stuff too is very old, and that's exactly why I would be making something, because can't get it anywhere else.
Right.
If you come to me with something that you need, first thing I'm going to do is search for it. Does it already exist? And if that's the case, then I'll point you in the right direction, and then the last resort, I'll make it.
Right, because you probably have connections, though, to stuff that the average person would never be able to find on their own. You know what I mean? If it's out there, I would assume you probably know some people.
Yeah, I've got some sources. Yeah, nothing secret. It wouldn't be anything I wouldn't share with anybody. Yeah. Most of the time, if somebody asks me something that someone else can do, I point them in that direction.
Yeah. Just probably just based on what you do on a daily basis, you know where to go. That's so cool. So let me ask real quick. So did machining and being a mechanic come first to you, and then because of that, you kind of moved it into the direction of skates, or vice versa? What was it for you?
I think I've always been a tinkerer since I was a little kid. My dad had a shop that was bigger than our house. It was the important thing in my dad's life was a workshop. And so we grew up with all kinds of tools and equipment, mostly woodworking. But I developed a lot of ideas at a young age that for the most part of my life I wasn't able to bring into reality because I didn't have the equipment to do it.
Yeah.
And when I started getting a hold of the equipment, then I could turn those ideas into reality. But yeah, I've been tinkering since I was a kid.
It's interesting because you mentioned about your dad, but most of that being a wood shop, right? And I think a lot of guys, they get into kind of early adulthood. I know I did. Somehow I never really had an interest in anything like that. And then somewhere around 30, I wanted to get a miter saw and a table saw and a router, and I just started building things, and I built a workshop, and then I started worried about dust collection and and all that kind of I got into it, man, and I still have that workshop. I still go down there, but it's funny because for the 10 years that I kind of was messing around building simple furniture and just stuff around the house, it would hit me like, man, it would be awesome to be able to machine something for this or do something for that. Do you think that kind of fed that for you, that you grew up in a world that was kind of mostly woodworking, and it kind of you saw what was missing and that kind of pushed you in that direction? Or am I just reading way too much into it?
I'm sure that played a little bit into it. I don't know if I would have pinpointed it like that, but
Okay.
just having a dad like my dad who could
Yeah.
fix anything, make anything. I took that for granted for a long time. I'd have
Mm.
friends who are like, come over for a couple hours. I can't come over. My bike's broke. Well, get your dad to fix it. What do you mean get my dad to fix it? I
Yeah.
took a lot of it for granted. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, though. Yeah, I mean, because I don't, especially now. I mean, the more automated things get. I mean, like the level of ability and talent and craftsmanship that goes into some, like you have no clue until you start trying to do something. And, and my thing is always like whatever I learned real quick. Whatever project I was going to start, I'd like, I'd set like a budget and like a schedule, like a time frame, blah, blah, blah. And then I just multiply that by like 5 or 6, right? Because like I was going to screw
Smart.
up 5 or 6 times, right? And I was going to like if there was something I wanted to finish like in a day on a Saturday, like, basically that would always become 3 days. One trip to Home Depot becomes 4, and I guess the one thing that I kind of pride myself on is I don't make the same mistake twice. Like I'll remember later, which I think is
Yeah.
pretty important. But man, everything is it's all trial and error. Everything I try and do, it's like it's and I'm in awe of and I respect people that can do that, and especially people that can like see something that doesn't exist and literally will it into existence. Man, I respect it so much. I really, really do. Especially having, the absolute limited experience. Well, I have a ton of experience in messing stuff up, but limited experience in getting things right, But all right.
But you've machined things. You said you have some machinery, so you know ma- the,
Woodworking.
the material. Yeah, still though, you're machining things. Your machines mill and manipulate that wood the same way that my machines manipulate metal. It was easy for me to transition from woodworking to the metal machining. Just more
Expensive.
precise.
Yeah, expensive hobby too.
Yeah, I do I have to say I do have a benefactor, someone someone that saw my potential 20 years ago, and he started feeding me sources for this equipment, helping me acquire a lot of the equipment, helping me put it in place. uh, an old timer that see I've always had people that had this equipment in my life, but I was always underfoot, and in the way, like get out of
Yeah.
here. We're trying to get this done, but I'm watching and I'm learning. I just can't use it. Well, this guy
Yeah.
wasn't like that. He's like, come over here, you do this,
Oh,
and
that's
he
awesome.
saw right away I had potential, and he buried me in this. So he's
That's
like, I
so
hope
cool.
I'm not burdening you with all of this stuff, because he knows it can be a lot, but it's not. It's been a blessing.
Yeah, but you're like just eating it up. You're like, you kidding me? Like
Absolutely.
no one ever lets. Yeah,
Yeah.
man. And the cool thing about this is too is that like I worked with like this one guy that I knew. He just kind of same difference when I started getting into woodworking stuff, and and I'd go over there and I'd work on like he'd have like this super old lathe, or he'd have like this crazy old planer, and like but these things where, and he'd always talk about, and I hope like this stuff runs forever, but I need it to run because once something goes wrong with this thing, they don't make this anymore. But you've got like a really cool thing where basically you could have some of the, because to me it's like all this old gear worked the best, right? Like anything that I've ever used, but you can like manufacture a part when you need it basically anytime.
Sure. Yeah. The two machines I use, a mill and a lathe, can reproduce themselves. All the parts on this machine can be made with this machine.
Yeah. Wow. Anyway, all right. Well, I'm sure we'll talk more about that, but um, cool. So we're gonna talk about skating a little bit, though, I guess.
Yeah. Let.
So man, I'm so appreciative for you doing this, man. I tell everybody. I really do, man. I'm not just blowing smoke. I tell everyone anytime someone mentions Nathan Edwards, I'm like, dude, I love skating with that guy. I love skating with that guy. I love seeing that guy, you know, and it's anywhere I can go. When Greg Fuller, we were at Bethlehem, the Halloween late skate the other night, and I was bailing, man, because they got to do something. That floor, something. I don't know what happened. I think they got some water stuff, but man, it was like ice, like off-road ice skating. It was crazy. And I love that place because it draws like one of the first places that I went to that I skated in PA. Like not one of the first places, but one of the first places where I saw amazing skaters. Like just like this adult night, the first one I ever went to there, I was like, oh yeah, this is they get down here, man. Like, so it was just really it kind of stuck to see that situation. But anyway, Fuller's talking to me. He's like, we're gonna go see Nathan Edwards tomorrow. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, we're gonna go like Manassas or something like that. And I'm like, but how far? Because I always just assumed. Everything I assume about skating and people in skating is 100% wrong. I'm telling you right now, everything is wrong. I'm figuring it all out as I do this and talk to people. I thought you were like 6, 7, 8 hours from here, and it was like less than a 3-hour drive for
Yeah.
me. Now that rink, how often are you there? What rink was that again, and where? How often are you there?
That's Skating Fun Zone in Manassas. Pretty much every Sunday night that they have an adult night. One time Travis and I went there, on a regular Sunday night, and it's Girl Scout night. We drove 2 hours all the way to the rink and showed up, and it was not for us.
Oh my, yeah, no kidding. We
But
drove
yeah, every Sunday
like.
night.
Wait, keep going. What? What were you gonna say?
I said that just every Sunday night we end up going there most of the time. And we got a
Cool.
regular crew. You met them, Travis and Heather and Kim, and Chuck. That's our regular crew.
So, is that session like ever like more adults, or is it kind of like that amount of people normally, or
It goes up and down.
yeah,
It goes through waves. Sometimes you show up and you're like, wow, it's packed. This is going to be fun. Sometimes it's dead, and you just don't know why.
man, that floor is wonderful. That
Yeah,
floor was really good. Like how long has that been there? Do you know?
I I I think 30 years at least.
Huh?
Been there for some time. I know a lot of
Okay.
rinks around here have sister rinks, and I hear people refer to Manassas as such and such's sister rink that I also don't know about. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I know the floor, like you said, is fantastic. It's almost a perfect rotunda floor.
It really is.
I
It
I
really
can
is. I mean, it was.
I never feel a flaw in it.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Yeah, I was really surprised. So, what is your home rink then? Like, what would you consider your home rink,
Um, for
if you do?
that's a story itself. For a
Nice.
while, it was Winchester in Winchester, Virginia. When I lived in Winchester, now I live in Harrisonburg. So the closest rink to me would be Funky's Skate Center. It's about three
Okay.
blocks from here, and it's a
Oh,
good
okay.
it's a good rink, but it's family sessions all the time, and um, I don't I don't have a lot of time to skate. So when I do, I'd like for it to be an adult session. So I don't frequent there very much. But I do know the owners. My stepdaughter worked there for years. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know. I don't know how many of these episodes you've seen, but there's one question that I ask every single person, man, and that is, do you remember the first time you actually like put on skates and stood up on skates?
No.
You don't.
No.
Okay.
I was
So
too young.
too young.
Yeah.
That's me though too, because I remember like It's funny when I started asking people that question, because people have asked me that randomly throughout my life, and I always kind of gave like a general answer. But when I really started asking people that, and people started going into these in-depth stories about like the first time, and and it dawned on me like I don't remember learning how to skate. Like I don't remember it, man. Like the same way I don't remember learning how to walk, I don't remember learning how to skate. my older sister skated, and our older brother skated, and then I just did that, right? So, but well, do you like remember like would you say there's a time or like a era or maybe like a year or something that like you could look back and you could say, okay, like when you realized I like to do this. I like to do this a lot.
That would have been like ninth grade. Even though I had skated
Right?
my whole life, ninth grade is where it really sank it in for me.
Why do you think that is?
Probably the friendships, the camaraderie. Um, that's a good question. I couldn't put my finger on why. It did. It's something it meant something to me, I guess. And I could
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Only now I was doing it. I was doing it with my friends, and
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a couple like things like and like you, I can't really identify why I like it or why I it really gravitated to it. Um except for like what you're saying though is like there was also because I think there's the time where it's like, okay, I knew that I liked to do this, but then there was another time, and I'm not, I'm not trying to say like sound arrogant or egotistical, but there was also a time where I was like, I'm good at this. Like I'm better at this than other things I do. And that
yeah,
was like another time where it was like, okay, I really like this. And it just felt like something that was special because like, I played basketball, I played baseball, you know what I mean? I played hockey, but like I didn't excel at those things like I did at this. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's the same for you, but
it is. Yeah, it
yeah.
is.
What other sports did you play?
Only other sport that I really cared for was volleyball, beach
Really?
volleyball. Yeah,
Beach volleyball.
hmm yeah.
No kidding.
Which
You played like
I am poorly set up for being my stature, But
I
I
wasn't gonna say it, but can you jump? You got hops?
not really. But I could set real good. I played good center. I'm good defense, and I can run around and get to the ball, and
Be honest. You saw Top Gun and you were like, I want to play volleyball
dude, you are
now.
100% correct. Absolutely. Top Gun in the '88 Olympics. Got me
Oh,
liking
really?
volleyball. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wait, was there something significant about the '88 Olympics? Because I'm not
We
sure.
won gold. The men won
Oh,
gold.
okay, okay.
Randy Stoklos, Steve Timmons,
Wow.
Sk8LikeYou. Yeah, it was. Then they all went on to beach volleyball careers.
There was another movie I remember, like in I think the late '80s or early '90s, and it was like this young guy. He is like the yuppie kid, but he gets together with like the old timer beach volleyball guy. I don't know. I can't remember what it was called. Man, that's gonna bug me now. But I think it was like a thing, like for a minute, you know.
Yeah, like
But
Karate Kid, but volleyball.
yeah, but so it makes sense though, like because it was probably just after '88. Was there a time like in the late '80s, early '90s where beach volleyball was like a thing? I
Oh
don't remember.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that was random. Um. Yeah. Okay. So now, so you're like ninth grade. This is what you do. You really enjoy it. Where are you skating in ninth grade?
Ninth grade, I would have been skating at the Palace in North Fort Myers, Florida.
No kidding. What now is that a big place?
It was it was a big floor. It was a decent sized floor. Uh, Extravagantly decorated. It had like crystal rope lights hanging in like just interesting formations. It had a huge like a 3 foot crystal ball that had like neon Saturn rings around it, and then right outside of that were four about I don't know 1 foot crystal balls just surrounding that, and then all around the perimeter were like merry-go-round horses that the owner collected. They
No
weren't just
kidding.
props; they were the real deal that she had
So
collected.
you're full size.
Yes, yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah, and they were like in little niches in the wall along the back wall of the ring.
This is like Studio 54 of like skating rinks. Like it's
Yeah,
what it sounds like to
it
me.
was pretty cool. They would
Yeah.
do a money grab. They had like the cash booth that blew cash all over the place. Yeah, and they would do that every weekend. Yeah,
Where and this was in Florida?
yeah, yeah,
So are you a Florida native? Like are you from Florida originally?
yeah. Born and bred. Yeah,
Okay, okay. Now things are making a little more sense to me.
yeah.
I'll get to that why that is. But okay. So when did you move away from Florida? We'll go back, but
Yeah.
when did you move
I
out of Florida?
I moved from Florida in 99, 1990.
Okay.
Yeah, from Florida to Cary, North Carolina.
Okay. So you're okay, so but your skating up until this point all took place in Florida for the most part.
Yes, but at some point, actually, when I went to college, and maybe sometime before that, my friend John Threckle brought some rollerblades to the ring, and
Ah.
he's like, "You should try these out." It was new, it was new to us.
Yeah,
We were
yeah, yeah.
quad skaters. It's like, "You got to try these out." And I put the rollerblades on, and I kind of did like a little hockey test, like bang bang on
Yeah.
my feet, and I was like, "Whoa, I like this." Because it was stable and I wore rollerblades from that point all the way up till about 10 years ago.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So when I moved to Cary, I was a rollerblader.
In rinks or like were you now
No, just
outside more?
street stuff.
Were you like aggressive inline?
No, I mean
No.
we jumped and stuff like that, but no, it went to a couple of bowls. I lived in Tampa for a while too when I was in school. There's lots of
Yeah.
skating to do around there.
Yeah, there was this minute where a kid was like this guy on my street. His son like would come and stay with him in the summer. And one summer, I'm looking because I could see like my house is kind of at the top of the street of the hill, and where I come out the side door on my porch, I could basically look all the way down the street, and I see like on the right side of the street like this big like, looks like a big wood box or something. I don't know what it is. And then I see like somebody these big huge pants on, right? And just launch off this thing and do a backflip. And I'm like, what is going? This it was this kid Pete Cody, and I go down there and I'm like, and he's got rollerblades on. I just went down with my bike real quick, and that's how I met Pete Cody, and he got me into like so that whole summer, man. Like I had some money. I was mowing lawns and doing all that kind of stuff, and I bought like my like Rostis was big at that time for aggressive inline skates, and he got me into that, man, big time. Like that kind of fell off real quick. I always ended up back on quads, but it's interesting. I never mentioned that to anybody, but okay.
Yeah.
So you just go inline, like you drop quads
Well,
right there.
let me change that. I still quadded a little bit because my memory. I recall when being in school in Tampa, the same guy that introduced me to rollerblades, John Threckle. We both worked at United Skates in Tampa. We floor
Oh, okay.
just for I don't know. It might have been a couple of weeks. Who knows in college what we were doing.
Yeah.
But I also remember winning a shuffle contest there too with John. But so that would have been quads. But I know shortly after that it was rollerblades from there on out.
No kidding. No kidding. All right. So now it makes sense. I mean, you're down in Florida, man, the beach, and that's
Yeah.
like the thing that's happening. I mean, so was there like now in Florida, you know, like so were you ever in speed skating at all competitively?
No, I wish I had been. But our
You
rink
should
didn't
have been.
have a speed team.
You should have been.
Yeah, I
It,
I agree with you. I wish that I had the chance.
yeah. It's surprise like so here's like I don't know why I assumed that like I just assumed that if you were, I would have known about it. So I've never verified this with you at all. But like, I don't know what in my mind said to me. I don't think he ever was really like an actual competitive speed skater. But dude, like, if anyone was, like, it doesn't even make sense for me to think that because you move fast, but you move fast the right way. You move fast like somebody that was trained to move fast. Where does that come from? Did you know speed skaters? Did you just figure it out? Like,
Yeah, Brian Danager, one of the adults that skated with us. That was always he was a speed skater, and if we had had a speed team, he would have been our coach, and I got all the tips from him.
okay, okay. What were the main things that he would tell you? You think that you
Uh,
think?
Position of my shoulders, where you're looking. Um, I'm sure a lot of it was natural skill, I guess.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, but even rollerblade when we would street skate, all my buddies are huffing and puffing. They're like, "What are you doing to propel yourself so effortlessly like that?" And
yes.
and I'm like, "Well, first of all, it's not effortlessly. I'm really hoofing it." But I
Okay.
guess something about the way that I push, I couldn't describe it. It's something that you feel. I know you understand that.
I will. No, I mean I understand the principle of it. I don't understand that aspect of it because I think I remember telling you, like when you came to one of the Philly events, and I had skated with you before, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get behind Nate and I'm gonna record him for a little bit here. And I know, like, I just kind of looked to the side for like just a second, and I turned back, and you're gone, right? And the thing is like, I see. Here's the thing. I know that I was like really having to work to keep up with you up to that point, right? But it didn't register in my brain that like you were going to be gone so fast because, like I always say to people, and I think I even mentioned it to you, the mechanics of what you're doing do not match up with the rate of speed at which you're moving. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying? So like I didn't even process it in my head that that was gonna happen. And so it was like, what just happened? Where'd he go? Right? And and then I catch up and I'm like, and then I'm really paying attention. And I went back and I literally like watched the video, right? Like multiple times. And it's so crazy because if you watch it completely uncut, right? And I'll send it to you uncut if you want, but it's all these people with all their limbs moving at this frenetic rate. Yours, it's almost like you took a slow motion guy and dropped him in another video with a bunch of people at real speed, but you're still moving fast. You're still traveling faster. And I think that's what people were taught, like, obviously, and you know this, that's what your friends were saying to you, like, it looks effortless, because that's what was that always how it was for you? Did you just always kind of naturally, like, move that way?
I guess so. I know it's different. I watch myself skating, and I'm like, that's different than most people. Yeah, it's always been like that. Oh,
I
I
think it,
always won the races at the rink. The little 1 lap and 2 lap races at the rink.
but you know what's funny about it, man, is it matches your entire personality. Just kind of mellow, chill, right? But man, right? Like I know my skating matches my like just insane ADD personality, right? Like my like
Yeah,
frantic kind of, you know. But you're like that southern walk slow, talk slow, but man, you roll fast, dude. Like that's what's crazy about it. So I don't know. I think it's awesome. I love watching. I love following you around. So so now, when would you say, and why would you say that kind of blading or rollerblades kind of phased out for you?
okay. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
I was in Winchester when I moved to Winchester, probably 2002, 2001 or two, from Cary, North Carolina. The very first place I went in Winchester was the rink. Big rotunda floor, unaltered. It wasn't taken up by play space or anything like that. Really big, perfect rotunda floor. And I started hanging out at that rink. And I skated there for a long time on blades. Um, and I kind of settled down. We got a house and, moved into Winchester permanently. And I'd frequent the rink every now and then. And I went one night with my blades, skating around. And there was this young man in the middle of the floor jam skating. and I had never
Okay.
seen it before. I'm like, that's very impressive. It was notable. I went over there and I just stood there and watched him. And I think he saw me skating too. And he was a car guy. So when we left, he was showing me his Subaru, and I'm like, how much horsepower has it got? All this and that. And he's like, forget about all that. He looked at me and he goes, dude, you need to get some quads. So the whole way home, I'm driving home from the rink, and I'm like, that little dude is right. I need to get some quads. So just me being who I am, they're not going to be some regular old quads. I'm not going to get some, just pick something out of the catalog and get that. So
Right.
that's when I started working with Connie's Skate Place in Rydell to get a rental style 195. And I machined that first laser plate within weeks of him saying that.
Wow.
And then maybe 4 or 5 weeks, I showed up to the rink with my quads that he said I needed to get, and it was my rental skates with the aluminum laser on it. And
No
he
kidding.
dumbfounded. He's like, "Dude, I didn't know you were gonna do that."
Right.
So I've put blades on, but it's quads from here on out.
So is this angel that appeared in your life in the form of a young jam skater? Is this someone that people know? Is he still around?
Yeah, JD Dwayne. I mean, he's around here. I mean, everybody they know him as a good skater. He skates Manassas sometimes. He's busy though.
Has he ever heard this story? Like that he literally is like kind of the guy that dropped that thing in your brain? And,
Oh yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah he.
That's cool, man. That's cool. That's cool. No kidding. So was there ever, whether blading or quads or whatever, was there ever a time where you kind of stopped for a while? Or you always kind of been on skates for the most part?
Probably more in my youth. I stopped. Probably skated till I was like 8 or 10, and then from 10 to, I don't know, 13 or so, probably didn't skate much, and probably not from 13 to 16, probably not very much either. But
Okay.
then once we started, we had a rink and friends that went to the rink that I could ride with, and I was doing that.
Are there people like that like we both know or know of at least like that do the event thing that like that skated with you as a kid? Is there anyone that you remember from back in the day? No.
No, no, and I would
No
remember
kid.
because
Right.
we
Right.
were close like that. I went to Cimarron one time and invited one of my old skate buddies, Andrew Fountain, who was also the DJ at the rink and a top-notch roller skate DJ. Still has all his records and everything. Yeah, it was good to see him. But I can never get my crew to show up. They're busy, they
Yeah.
got family lives and everything.
So you get back on quads, and that probably kind of changes everything too, as far as like. So when did like, is there a time where like you kind of like, or maybe it didn't ever stop, but but now that you're back on quads, was there a time that like you kind of had just found yourself among a crew or something like that, like kind of like a immediate skate family or something like that? Did that happen again, or did that kind of never go away, or did you already have it as a person that was on inlines, or what's the deal there?
No, it was with JD. With the guy that got me back on quads. He's like, I think what really sunk it in again was he said, "Hey, we're all going to Sportsman's Hall," and I picture like a hunting place for old
Right,
dudes.
right, right. Coppermine, right?
Seriously,
Yeah.
if you've been there, you know it is not that. Um,
No, no.
and so we went to Sportsman Hall, and it was an adult night, and it was jamming, man. And so that sealed the deal for me. Like that's what I'm hunting. That night at Sportsman's Hall is what I'm hunting
Huh.
every single time I go to an event.
You're talking. It's a Coppermine, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Where
Is it Maryland?
yeah, it's like
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Westminster, Maryland, that area.
Yeah, 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 Yep. No, I've been there. And the thing is the night that I was there, it was very much like it's surprising to hear you say that it was like jamming with an adult night. Let's put it that way. Is it still like that, or do you know? Or
I don't think so. I think management
no,
is they've gone through different management owners, and I haven't been there in a while, so I wouldn't know.
because it was. I mean, so much so that like, and I was there with like some people that I had met like when I first started skating again in PA. Like so much so that like they got on the mic and they were like, we're gonna play some music for these guys that came to visit us and these shuffle skaters, and it was like, and we were not doing anything that should have been kind of like noted or anything like that. So like, and I kind of had this idea of where I was, and kind of the vibe already. But then I kind of solidified it as like, man, like we're like aliens, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in this place, So, but I know someone was. I think Greg and I were just talking about Coppermine literally Saturday night. Because that I think he was saying that place and that they do have something every once in a while. I don't know. I'll let you know about it.
Yeah, they
So
do.
yeah, so that how much of a drive is that for you then?
That from
3 hours?
here, that's about 3 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about for me too. In a just a different direction. So all right, cool. So like now, were you going out there on the regular then after that?
No, just one or two times for an event,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing beat that first time. I don't know if it was because the first time that I had gone to an event like that, or what. The first time's the best for just about anything.
Yeah,
The first of anything is the best. But
get you chasing the dragon ever since.
that's right.
Yeah. So when do you like what's your like your first actual like skating event, like shuffle event? Like when was that?
Shuffle event, probably Steel City Shuffle,
No
20,
kidding.
was it? I wouldn't even know the first one I went to. I think it was the second Steel City Shuffle.
So in the last few years.
Pre-COVID. Um,
Okay.
yeah, it's
Oh yeah,
within
yeah,
it's
yeah.
within
That's right.
8 years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. I was thinking too soon because yeah. So you never got to do 8 wheels, no brakes then?
No, I was skating at that time, and I looked at all that stuff going on, and I wanted to be a part of that so bad, but just never brought myself to one of them. Just the logistics of it seemed off for me. Now it'd be
Mm,
like, yeah, I'm game. What, I don't care how far
yeah,
away it is. But then it was like, that's kind of far. But
yeah. Do you know Rob
oh
Cosmano?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We get along good. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah,
like
man.
Rob and
Oh,
Jackie.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Jackie. They're both just. Anytime I meet anybody that on fire for this thing, man, it's just like minds. You know what I mean? But that so like okay, so like Steel City, and you go to Steel City. That's like your first event. It's like your real first event. Like what was that experience like for you? Life changing,
Um,
or is it like, oh man, this is incredible? Or
well, I had those new skates. I remember the first night I skated so hard, I blistered up my foot so bad. It was a tremendous amount of pain, but I never showed that, and I skated through it. I think it was 2 nights, both nights. Um, it was, I think it was what I expected. I was
yeah,
skating with like-minded people, but I got to meet a bunch of new people. I met Greg, met Marshall Moore.
Steel City was my first one as well, and same thing. I remember the first two events. I both first events I ever went to. I was blistered like by the end of like night one, and
Yeah,
thinking, and I remember going back to my hotel room and being like, how am I going to do this, man? This is good. Like, and fighting myself not to like pop it and cut it open, all that kind of stuff. But so, and it's funny too because I think I remember us talking about this at what was the last event we were both at? Down in
would have been. Was it Philly or no? It was Cincy.
yeah, okay, Ohio. We're both
Yeah,
talking. I think like that Friday night. Like I'm just trying not to burn out on night
yeah,
one, but
yeah.
like
Gotta
how
save.
impossible. Yeah,
Don't
but
don't
but
put it
you
all
but you
out
know
there.
you're not gonna. yeah, you're not gonna like, like hold back. Because there was who was that group that was there? There were a group of that Friday night. Well, they were there probably the whole time. I want to say they had like an area code like 805 or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Because there was like
that was Chris Anspach and Tiffany Schlomer. Now, if I'm fast, they are super
that's
fast
what I'm saying. They were moving, dude.
all night long.
Yes, yes, yeah. I was like, whoa, and because I mean me. And there's actually one other thing that was even more shocking than that, but I'm trying to because I really want to get footage of these guys because they are moving right, like and man, it it did me in like and that was like okay, well I'm not like pacing myself at all for this weekend, right? Like, but here's the other thing about that, okay, and we're talking like kind of towards the end of the night, man. Now I've been at events with this dude, okay. I've seen him a bunch of times at every Waffle House in the country, right? Like Rolling Randy, okay, is there that night. And that dude is, side surfing, obviously, the whole time. But he is right on them nonstop. He's yelling at these
Yeah.
other two kids in front of him, get out of the way, like you're slowing down. And I'm like, going, and I'm just trying, like, my ego is like, do not tap out with next to Roland Randy side surfing like this. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta hang with this dude and record him and record Tiffany and Chris up here. And like that, but that dude can go forever like that. I have no idea. How many do you know him well at all?
No, I've spent a couple events, with him as an associate, and he's a
Yeah.
great guy, fun to be around.
Oh my God, that was really surprising to me. Like I don't know about you. So like I used to be able to do that like no problem, right? I used to be able to, and I tried it when I started skating again. And dude, like my inner like upper thigh like muscles, like it cramps so bad. I can't do it. I can't do it at all.
Yeah.
But anyway. So okay, so like now you go to Pittsburgh. So like how many of these people do you already know that are kind of like in this like event world, or are you just kind of meeting them as you go?
I went by myself, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty extroverted. I skated. I'll skate with anybody too. I I hope they don't mind it, because if they mind it, they're gonna have a problem because I'm skating with. I do it all the time. I can tell when someone's like, "Who is this guy and why are they skating with us?" I'll dip out, but for the most part, I'll skate with anybody. And I skated with Greg and anyone that I could keep up with. I skated there, but I didn't know too many people there. That was the beginning of it.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny too. But so because there, so when does it happen? Where okay, because you don't know many people, right? But somewhere along the line, you become the guy that everybody says, right? Like you got to get this fixed, you got to get your wheels regrooved, you got to get them cut down, you got to whatever. You're that guy. Like no one else brings up anybody else. At least to me, I don't see it. So when does that happen? How does that happen? I'm so interested in finding that out.
Okay. Me and Heather and Travis and Chuck went skating at Galaxy Skateway in Martinsburg, West Virginia. Like a blue epoxy floor. Had a blast. But somebody's stopper came off. It was very dark. And Heather and Travis and we all crashed. Somebody hit this stopper. I hit it. They hit it. Somebody hit it. And we all went down. And I had a flat spot on my Sk8L wheel after that. So
That's hard to do.
that's what Scott said.
Yeah.
I contacted like, whoa, he's like, wow, you're part of an exclusive group now. How the heck did you do that? And I told him, I said, I think I hit a toe stop or something. He's like, yeah, that'll do it. I said,
I
I
mean, it
need
must have been me. Did anyone get hurt? That sounds.
no,
I mean,
no, I don't know how. I mean, I don't know.
okay. Anyway,
He said, he's like, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, I need a tire. Can you send me a tire? And he says, don't you have a lathe, mate? And I was like, yeah, I've got a lathe. He's like, why don't you? He's like, I think you can handle that yourself. So I did. I regrooved my Scott Corys myself, and from then on, I think I told someone, I told an acquaintance, actually Kev Hobgood, um, I told him that I regrooved my wheels. He's like, wait a second, can I send you a set of? He had a set of ultimate weapons that somebody messed up grooving them. It's like, let me send these to you. If you do a good job on these, he's like, I will get you going. And he sent them to me. I was able to fix them. And Kev Hopgood is the guy that put the word out there. He was my first customer.
Hmm.
And from
So
then on, it was over.
no kidding. So like immediately, like you're just
No, it might have been 2 or 3 sets a month for a long, long time. And then
okay.
I got in touch with Chris Nelson. Have you met Chris Nelson?
Maybe I don't know. I'm good with faces. Names are tough.
Yeah, Chris Nelson. He's a very reputable Rydell rep. He sells Rydell equipment. He goes to all of the JB skates and stuff like that. And he's the guy. He's the wheel. He's the vintage wheel guy.
Okay.
So he had a new wheel coming out that needed to be machined from the manufacturer, and they
Okay.
contacted me to know if I would do the finish machine work on his wheels, and I said sure. When the place that manufactured the wheels was like 5 minutes from where I work in Winchester,
Huh.
Creative
No
Urethane.
kidding.
So I went and picked that stuff up and started cutting those. After I got in touch with him and started working for him, that's kind of when it blew up. When I started doing the the uh, the retrofits for the loose balls and bringing really cool old school loose ball wheels into the future where you could put a precision bearing in them. That's when it blew up.
So I want to ask because you said something and it immediately hit me when you said it, but I didn't want to cut you off. When you contact, uh, you know, you contact Australia, right? It's about regrooving these wheels, and he's like, you could do that, man. You have a lathe. Did did the idea ever occur to you? But you just were like, I don't want to do that, or did it not occur to you until he actually said something?
No, I think
Didn't even.
I was being dumb. It never occurred to me, and
Okay.
I can remember being an early skater and having bald wheels and wishing I knew someone that could put grooves back on.
Right.
And so
Hmm.
I mean, I'm all about the process, but it never crossed my mind. Never did.
Well, and it would have made sense if it did because I know because I think the reason I thought of it is I've been in positions where I might have technically like the machinery or whatever the tool to kind of do something, but it's like intimidating to me. Like I don't want to mess it up more, so I'm like, you know what, I'll just kind of think I'll pay somebody to do kind of thing. So I didn't know if that was a thing or if it just didn't occur. So okay, so you're like, all right, and was it as simple as he made it seem, or
Um, I
for
practice on
you?
I practice on a couple of jump wheels to get it down. The tool's the most important part, and the sharpness of the tool. Once I felt confident with that, I very very gingerly started machining on that wheel.
Man, have you ever seen some of these like DIY YouTube videos of the stuff people do to regroove their wheels? Like they like duct tape a drill down to a bench and you know what I mean? Like all this madness,
Yeah.
like because I literally before I knew anybody, right? Like the first like decent wheels I got were like some roller bones. And they were half decent, but I mean, like, they were too soft, and I needed to regroove. Like the grooves were gone almost instantly. Um, and so I started looking into it because the owner of the rink where I grew up, he used to do it, right? And so I started looking on YouTube. I started looking at because that's what I do. I look at YouTube, figure out, and man, the stuff I saw on there. It must be crazy to you. It must be hilarious to you. But I was like, I ain't doing that. I'm not trying to do that at all. I mean, some of the craziest stuff. How many things do you get from people that try to do it themselves? You know what I mean? And like you have to go and is that like a thing?
Maybe one in 100 sets. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's always
Any
it's always good commentary. Like my favorite one is like, what did you try and groove that with? A salad fork or?
So yeah, what can you tell us like what's the well? I mean, is there stuff that you get that you're like, dude, there's nothing I can do with this?
Rarely. A lot of times the people that would have something like that and would think about sending it to me, they know nothing can be done with it too.
Right.
So
Right.
most of the time, the stuff that gets sent to me, I'm able to pull through and come up with something.
So okay, so when all right, Chris Nelson really kind of gets you on the map as far as like volume, it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
So is there a point, do you know or remember there's a point where like it's almost too much where you're like, "Oh my god, I got a full-time job, I got that, like when did that happen at all for you?"
Yeah, probably about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years
No
ago.
kidding.
Yeah.
So on average, like let's say right now, on average, like what like if you like say a month, how many and because we're not just talking about, I mean, is it majority regroove? Is that majority of what you do?
No, I
No.
wish it was. I wish it was. That that's the thing that I have the most knowledge in, and my machine.
Okay.
I I can set up to do that really quickly and knock a set out real quick. And that's there's a lot of profit in the regrooving of the wheels, and I feel like it's cheap enough for people to send them to me all day long, and they get what they want, I get what I want. So what your question is, like, how much stuff do I get like in a month,
Yeah, I
or?
mean, like just in regards to skating, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Um, there's regularly at least one box a day on the porch.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it could be a box with a regroove. It could be a box with 5 sets of vintage wheels in it that from Chicago that they want hubs put in. It could be a sample kingpin that somebody wants a kingpin remade. Um,
Okay.
yeah, you name it. But the probably the regrooves are about 50% of all of it.
So what would the other 50 be, do you think? Is
Um,
it all those things combined or?
boring out a Scott Corey tire to like an enforcer that nobody
Yeah.
rolls enforcers in. They want a Jim Garrett Super D hub in it, and I can do that.
Hmm. When it comes to the machining stuff, have you ever considered like making your own hubs?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I consider it all the time, but I mean, I know what it would take to do that and do it correctly, which would be CNC and to me the moment that I'm pushing a button to produce, not to take away from CNC at all,
Right.
but the moment
Right.
I push a button to produce something, now my craftsmanship isn't a part of that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
What'd you do? Oh, I put the piece of metal in the machine and hit the button. I mean,
Yeah.
I know it's not that simple, but I enjoy crafting the stuff. I like
Yeah.
that. I had something to do with every shape of that. That's not desirable to me. I wouldn't mind commissioning someone to make hubs for me. Not at all.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, like what would you say like is like the like your passion project, the thing that maybe brought you kind of like not necessarily because you were able to sell it for a bunch of money or anything like that, but just kind of like the most satisfying thing when it comes to skates that like you were able to kind of just will into existence on your own.
Those
If there's even what's that?
those laser plates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. Man.
Yeah, I mean,
Those are incredible.
I always skated a laser, and I always wished, because I've broken laser trucks and just like everybody else, like, man, it'd be really nice if this was made out of a material that wasn't gonna break. Um, So when I was able to bring that forth, that was that was my highlight in skating.
So we were just up in New England. Myself, Rob McGarrigle,
Yeah,
Rana Hayes was out there with us, and we went to Forrest. Do you know Forrest?
I do.
He's like, he's like, well, you know that plate that Nate made? It's just laser,
That's
you
right.
know. And I'm like, yeah, we know, dude. Like, what are you saying? Like, it's still incredible. Shut up. That's literally what I said to him. I mean, he just laughed, but it was like, dude, what are you saying? Like, what is that? I was like, but anyway, man, it was crazy to me because you brought that one to Ohio, right? And this is what I tell people when I mention this plate, okay, and just mention what you do. I'm like, okay, so he's got this plate, you know, and he's showing it to me, and I'm looking at it, and first off, it's amazing. It's way lighter than it should be, okay, than I would think, at least. Not that I know what I'm talking about, but I'm looking at this pristine piece of art, okay, of craftsmanship, and I'm floored. I you know, whatever it is not enough as far as like you know what it costs, and you're like, yeah, but this one's not done. This one's not done, and I'm like, what? And you're like, well, yeah, it's got like this little, and you turn it over, and you had to look for it, and you found like this tiny little thing, right? I'm like, dude, I mean, I didn't say it, but I'm in my mind, I'm like, oh my god. So much so that when I looked at it again, I had to search for it to find it myself. I barely could find it, right? But you said something, and you said, well, it's not done to my specifications. And it kind of hit me though, because like I get it. I get that. I get that kind of mentality. Like, is that something that like you just have just naturally had? Is that something that like somebody instilled in you, like your dad or something like that, or is that just the OCD part of you? Like, what do you think?
My dad definitely played a role in that, but not the way that you would think. My dad
Okay.
never finished everything to the final, you know, the nth degree. It was always that's good enough, and that always
Okay.
growing up, that was always like, no, Dad, we should go another grit on that because I can still see sanding marks in it, and we would butt heads on that like a lot because he would build some things and I would have an opinion about it, and he didn't want his boy having that opinion about it, like it's not good enough. Uh,
Yeah.
but I knew that he could do something about it. He could make it better. He didn't need it to be better.
Right.
Wasn't in his vocabulary for it to be better.
Yeah. Because well, and the thing is too is that like that little speck that you no literally no one would ever see. It's on the bottom, right, of the thing, right? But you know, I know that you have an understanding of this that I don't and everything. But it was just it stuck out to me like that conversation and what you had to say about it and what you had to show me. It stuck out to me, and it was like it's no wonder that everybody goes to this guy. You know what I mean? Like there's obviously a care and a craftsmanship that's put into everything he does, you know. And here's the other thing about it, man. Like I could, you know, and with every like I mean, here the reality is that this is completely deserved. I could tell like I mean maybe I'm wrong, but it seemed like you were pretty proud of the thing. I mean,
Oh,
and you
for
should be.
yeah, it's a part of me. It represents me. So
Yeah,
I want it to represent me properly.
100%. That's awesome. So when now does this like because it looks like because you work on like a lot of old automobiles too, like so what exactly is it that you do in like your actual job, like
Okay.
your day job?
Yeah. Everything but body work in classic car restoration.
Wow.
So including machining gears, upholstery. I do all the upholstery for the shop. And here's another reason where the perfection thing comes in. Some
Yeah.
of our clients are like princes and kings. And that's no joke. And
Yeah.
they send people to come inspect it. Um, and it gets worked over by these people, and you're like, when you thought it was perfect, and then here comes this guy, and he He puts little pieces of tape all over the places where it's not perfect, and you realize, well, I guess I was just kidding myself. There really are flaws in this. That's a little bit.
Yeah,
That's a little bit of where that perfection with the plates comes in. Like what?
I absolutely. Oh, you still with me?
Yeah. Hold on a sec.
Okay,
Yeah.
lost you. There we go. So yeah, and I absolutely did think of that too because I saw like I can't remember what it was. There's something I don't even remember where I saw it, like pictures or something of probably on your Facebook or something like that. I think of like, and it was more recent. Some an older vehicle. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it was like, first off, this is definitely a high end client that is having something like this done, right? These people spend money, okay? So the attention to details got to be off the charts, especially when it comes to like vintage stuff like that. There are people that are like, this needs to be exactly the same as it was off the line. You know what I mean? Like, and they know every single square millimeter of a car,
Yes.
right? So the attention to details got to be crazy, right? So it makes a lot of sense. Do you when you're doing that stuff, like, do you find that, like, okay, whether it's in that shop there or whether it's the day job, like you just know that this is what you're made for, like you love going to work, would you say?
Absolutely. 100%. I have never woken up to this job going, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got to go in there again. Never once. It's always a joy. And
That's
I'm lucky,
awesome, man.
and I count myself lucky to be able to do that. Um, I even sometimes I catch myself like talking about what I do and how much I love it, and I can see that it's fallen on like poisoned poisoned minds. Like these people have been
Right.
sleeping for 20 or 30 years. They hate their job. And here I am talking about how much I love mine. I kind of tone it down a little bit.
Right.
I can stand the
Shut up, bro. You know.
hot goes again.
Dude, but you know what, man? I don't know. I respect it so much. I like, they say, what's that thing that they always say? Like, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, kind of thing. Yeah. It's funny too. Like, where I think that, as we get older and stuff, there's like that thing of like, you start looking back and you're like, geez, what have I been doing underneath these fluorescent tubes? And you know what I mean? And it, it's kind of crazy. And especially to somebody like me that my dad was a contractor, my uncles all own contracting companies. These are all like manual labor guys, right? These are blue collar guys that made really well for themselves, right? Like really well. But like, I never got into that stuff, right? Like I just never did. Like I was, but then I got older, man, and there was something about working with my hands. Like that's why I had no it to be 30, like late 20s, like 30, and just, yeah, I'm gonna go buy this tool and that tool and this tool and that tool and this tool, more so than just like, some weird like Tim Allen kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I enjoyed making something and saying I could do that, right? And then like having it be, right? Or someone saying, "Hey, could you do that?" And then making it happen, especially to someone that never did it before. And I don't know if I wish more people could have that experience. I think it would probably ring true for more people than most would even think. You know what I mean? Because if it does for me, who literally shunned that, I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to work with numbers, man. I'm going to stay clean and make money, right? It was the most boring stuff ever, okay? I can tell you. And it's so funny because all my dad, my uncles, everybody, they're just like, told you, told you, told you. My dad comes to my house and he's like, look, what? This is better than anything I've ever had down here. He's like, I tried to tell you, you know. But I don't know. So, but you still find that you still get that same satisfaction?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at stuff that I've done, and I literally like I look at my own hands and I look at what has been done, and I don't I I can't I can't tie the two together. I can't believe that I did that.
Oh. Hmm. No kidding.
You know, I know that I did. I was there the whole,
Right.
but it's hard. It's hard for me to. It's hard for me to even believe that I could do that. I don't know. I don't know what you would call that, but
How much time do you think you have to put in? Like, okay, after the day job is done, and you come home and you're doing this. Like, is it like another full time job? Like what you're doing with the skate stuff, or
absolutely, yeah,
really?
yeah.
Wow. There was a few months back. Like, I think you had put something out there. Like, I can't take anything else on. Like. So you were like flooded there for a minute. Did something just uptake all out of nowhere, kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, I got a 3-year-old and 18.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I
that
want
would do it.
to spend time with them bad,
Yeah.
but I also have to support them financially. It's a catch-22. It's really hard to leave my crying daughter right behind the door there and have to come over here and work. But you know, I
Yeah.
know it's for I. That's another thing. Like with my dad, like so many things my dad did when we grew up, I didn't understand. And I would never
Mm.
have understood until I had children, and now I understand. Me and my dad get along like we never have because of me having kids now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get,
Yeah.
I understand. I hear myself saying things that sound just like my dad, you know, and even then it's like, no,
Yeah.
like your
Well,
dad.
I remember the first before, like, so, like, and I'm only talking about my nephew. Like, this is years ago. Okay. And I remember the first. This is like before kids. This is like just my nephew, my brother's kid. And I remember the first time I said because I said so, right? And here's the and one, yeah. I wanted to catch it coming out of my mouth and shove it back. You know what I mean? But the worst part is it made 100% sense.
Yeah.
That made so much sense to me that day. I couldn't even tell you what it was and what I was referring to or what I was talking about or whatever. But it made it was the best thing to say, and it made perfect sense. And it scared the shit out of me, to be honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Oh man. Do your kids do they get into any of this stuff?
There, Kitra, I've started putting her on wheels. Um, she often tells me, "You're such a good fixer, Pubba." Pubba's what they call me. Yeah, you're such a good fixer. Anything needs batteries. Of course, I'm fixing it when I put batteries in it.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I bring it back to life and I fixed it, and they love that. I'm sure they look up to me. Kitra the other day, she said, "I can't wait till I'm bigger, and you and me can fix things together." And I thought I cannot wait for that.
Do you ever find yourself like fighting with yourself to be like or maybe even like with a not fighting necessarily, but like with family or wife or something like that, where it's like, well, I could fix that. No, would you just go and replace it? You know what I mean? Is that ever like a thing for you at your house?
Yeah, it's usually my thing. Like, let's just get another one. I know what it's going to take to fix that.
Oh yeah, it's probably people being like, you could just fix that, right? And it's like, and you're like, no, dude, no, this is yeah, like it's gonna be a 6 month project. Okay, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I mean, often I equate it to like, okay, if I could stand at the lathe for 10 minutes and purchase that thing that you want me to spend 2 hours on. So that's where that comes from. Even though I like
Right.
things, I also have to understand the where the money comes from and when and how and
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, everything. See, that's the other thing too, right? Is that there is a cost to using everything that you have, right? Like so it's not just, oh, I have this now, right? And so it's just all profit from here. It's like, no, there's a cost just to use the stuff that you have. I mean, like that's got to be something you have to think about on a daily basis, I would assume.
oh yeah, I mean like a lot of my machines are belt driven, and I there have been times where I've been in a production mode, and you don't know when it's coming. The belt breaks. Like, oh no, I,
Right.
I don't have another belt. I'm gonna have to order another belt. Now I'm gonna be down for days, and then now every day you've not made any money because you didn't have the belt. Um, but I've made do with other stuff. Now I keep spares for stuff like that. But yeah,
What kind of?
the machines need maintenance and they do wear.
Yeah, was it? My dad always had Gates belts. He just
Yeah.
always had Gates belts.
One of mine is it's been retrofit with an automotive timing belt, which I mean you can hoist an engine with one of those belts. They're incredibly strong. I'll never have to worry about that because it's continuous. There's no joint anywhere. Now the
Yeah.
leg behind me, it's built in such a way that the belt is laced through the machine and open, and it has to be glued or tied together, or they they make they make like little crimped things that go on either end of the belt that you can shove a pin through. Something like that has to happen with that, and that's where it fails every time.
Mm. Is there a like a project like because you've done the plate like the laser plate? Is there something like else that like you have wanted to do for a while? Like, and maybe it's not even skates, but it would be cool if it was skates. But like, but is there something like that like you've had in the back of your mind, a thing that you've really been interested in trying to do or want to do that you just I don't know, you don't have time for or not, or maybe there is, I don't know.
Yeah, I own a Model T, a 1927 Model T that my machinist friend that helped me get all set up with this we built together, um, and he drove that car across country from Times Square to the Golden Gate Bridge and wrote a book about it. Him and a very well known automotive author wrote a book about it,
Huh.
and ever since then, that's all hot rodded stuff too. Period. Hot rodded 1927 Model T with 1927 speed equipment on it. Uh, I say that because that's not the 1927 Model T that I want. I want to build a 27 Model T Speedster, but with an inline 6-cylinder Jaguar engine in it, with like type, yeah, like an E-type Jaguar engine. But that the reason why the E-type Jaguar engine is because it very much has a 1920s Indy car engine look to it.
Okay.
The car would be insane, and I want it to be a cloth-bodied car for like a aircraft, like a doped fabric uh, body, which would be incredibly lightweight.
Does it change everything else though? I mean, like when you put an engine in something like that, does it now change? Like, is there a bunch of other stuff that has to change in order
Oh,
for it to
yeah. Yes, everything, brakes,
everything, right?
the wheels, the final drive, the
I mean,
transmission.
the torque alone is would tear it apart, wouldn't it? I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, it would twist the
yeah,
frame into a pretzel.
yeah. so so like okay, so when you think when you okay, so is that something that you see yourself starting like in the near future, or is it just
It's a possibility. The
yeah?
the engines are available. My buddy's got two E-type engines ready to go.
Okay.
He's got a bunch of frames. We've accumulated so much Model T stuff over the years that I could do it. Um, but what it would be a sacrifice. It would not only cost me everything I would have to purchase to make it happen, but the time as well. And right now I can't afford the time.
Nah, man. I talked to somebody one time and they said, time is literally the greatest currency that you're ever going to have. You can make more money, but you will not make more time.
Yeah.
And man, I like it hit me then, and then I lived a little bit longer, and it continues to find new ways of hitting me in the smacking me in the face
Yeah.
with how
Yeah.
true that is. I mean, phew, wow, yeah, no, how like, yeah, because I mean, like it's probably hard to estimate, but I mean, like how long do you think that would actually take? Like from what you have, like beginning to end, is that like that's like years, right?
Yeah. 3 years probably.
Yeah.
So by earlier you were talking about, yeah, I say something's going to take 3 years, or I say something's going to take 3 years, or it's going to cost a certain amount of money. Double that every time. I'm the same way. Somebody's like, yeah, it'll only take 3 hours. Whoa, hold on a second. Take
Yeah.
longer than that.
Man, I wish I could say double that. So what's the next event that you're going to be headed out to? Do you know?
Philly.
Oh, Philly. All right, cool. All right. Well, besides Philly,
Besides Philly, I don't know. I would really like to go to Texas. I don't.
man, me too.
I want to get that in. Um, the events, they stress out the family life here. You know, it's time away from, again, making money, time away from the family, and it's I go to these events by myself, and my family's never with me. It I'd really like it a whole lot better if they were with me, but logistically that's just not possible right now. So
Yeah.
next year, I don't know. I don't know which events I'm going to go to.
I really do. I really, really want to do Texas, just for everything that I've heard about it, talking with Jeff, uh, and everyone that I know that has been there. I just hear so many good things about not just the event itself, but like literally the entire experience. Apparently, Abilene is just like, they just love when the skaters come to town. I mean, they put it on
Yeah,
like a marquee and like at some old movie theater downtown, like welcome skaters, you know? It would be nice to be that cool for once as a roller skater, you know?
yeah, yeah.
So, hey, so I want to ask you, one other thing I want to ask you was about roller jam. When was the first time that you had gone to roller jam?
Oh, that was with Abby. We went just on a whim.
Yeah,
I don't even think I was invited. I think I knew about it through Rob or something like that.
yeah,
So we showed up. Of course, Rob was there, and it was way too much for Abby. She was like, it's way too much stimulation with the music and the lights and the people. And I was
yeah,
like on fire. It was like Brer Rabbit in the briars. You know, I'm like, I'm at home now.
yeah, man.
I'm feeling this. So that was my first time there, and that was actually, you know what? That was the last place I skated pre-COVID,
No kidding.
and then COVID hit, and I didn't skate all through that. Yeah,
Oh,
that was the last place pre-COVID, and
that's
it was Kristen Baroni's. I think it's Baroni or Barone.
her birthday.
Yeah, it was her birthday. Yep,
That was because talking to Jackie, that was actually the last thing they even had there, I
right.
think.
Yep, I was at that too.
No kidding.
Yep.
Because yeah, like the last thing they had there before COVID shut down, right? Like, so, but that's gotta suck though, right? Like you go to like the best place ever, right? And then it's like, yeah, we're done. We can't do it anymore. So you had the same kind of like reaction that I did when I first went there. How many
Yeah.
did you get to? I mean, you got to skate it quite a few times though.
Three
I
times.
mean, what's that?
3 times.
Oh, it was only three.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think, man, I'm literally I must have been there the 2 out of the 3 times that you were ever there.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
awesome,
You were. Yeah.
man. I had so much fun with you, like that, dude. Like, because I know, like for me, like when it, because that last night you were there because you were there last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, and now I've been there when it was busy, but that was crazy.
Yeah. It
That was
was
crazy.
fantastic. It was fantastic. I loved it. I loved every moment of weaving in and out of all those people, trying to keep up with Rob.
I was telling people about it. I was like, because that, like for you, like when you said, like Abby was saying about how it was like, too much stimulation, just too much, and it's understandable. And I know a lot of people, because people either love roller jam and they're like, no, this is not for me, right? Like Jackie always says, roller jam either makes you or breaks you, kind of thing, and but I always tell people, I'm like, man, that last night, I don't know what it was. I don't even know if he consciously thought about it, but it was even getting towards the end of the night, And I know I looked at Nate and I was like, I'm on you, dude. Let's go. Like, let's go, man. And I love that. I was like, I'm on your ass, dude. Just go. Just go.
Yeah.
And just flying. Like, it just, it didn't even care. I didn't even care. Ride the wall, not ride the wall, whatever. That wasn't even an option, dude. Like, it was so much fun. I was so glad to be able to do that there. It just sucks so much that it's not there anymore. Oh, it's the worst.
Yep. It really is.
Is there any other place you've ever been that had anything like that ever kind of felt like that to you?
Only being a kid, like Raymond's Rollerland, uh, in the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that seemed like every time we ever went, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the roller jam, man. I like now that the roller jam's gone. My favorite place to go is 47. Skate 47 in Jersey is great. It really is. I want Big Daddy Ray to make all of the events at Skate
There.
47.
Yeah. I like
I
that.
do. I don't care if it's smaller. I love that place. Well, is there anything else that you want to throw out there? Anything you wanted to say? I don't. We're coming up on time here, man. And I don't.
Yeah, not really. And my battery it's about to go. See you later.
All right, this is perfect then. So look, hey, real quick though, before you jump, where can people find you when they need to send you their gear and yeah, contact whatever. Where can they look you up?
That's a good question. Everyone everyone finds me on Facebook.
Okay.
For the most part, it's been word of mouth. You see it, like who regrooves wheels. I don't have to get on there. I don't have to say
Right.
anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, Facebook. I'm on Instagram too, Nathan Edwards. Also anything machine, N period, E period, thing machined. Um, that's the one I should be using the most. That my business page, but my personal page is where everything happens.
Right.
Send a private message.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it.
Guilty. Man, well, thank you so much, Nate. Man, I tell people all the time. I'm like, dude, like honestly, one of the coolest guys I've met since I started skating again. I always enjoy talking to you. It literally like there's like a couple people that I look for when I go to an event. And I'm like, hey, isn't he? And you're definitely one of them, man. I always have such a great time with you. You and you're honestly too like a good big part of like making someone like me kind of feel like welcome at these things, because to me you were like one of the vets at that place. You know what I mean?
I'm just a
But
regular. I get that.
I know, but
So uncomfortable.
I know. That's why I do it. That's why because people do shit to me all the time. No, man, no. But thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this, man. Was there anything else you want to throw out there?
Not that I can think of. I want to hang
All
out
right.
with
Well, I
you
hope you.
sometime. That's for sure.
What's that?
I want to hang out with you sometime, like after the rink or whatever.
I'm glad that that I realized that place is so close. I'll definitely see you more now.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was that close. So yeah, we'll definitely see each other more. That's for sure, man. Well, thank you again so much. I hope you enjoyed it, man. This is great. I think this is good. I think this went really well. I think people
Perfect.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah. Bye,
Have a
everybody.
good night, dude.